Ooh, and then I just did that. Wow. Okay. You can tell we haven't podcasted in a while because I'm off my game. Oh,
Yeah.
here we are. Okay. Ready for this? Yeah,
Not really.
we have no idea where we're going with this one, but rarely do we. You know that Jeff Bradbury said, I want to come on a podcast where I don't have to do anything." He's like, kind of like yours. Don't take this the wrong way. And I'm like, no, don't worry. I don't take that the wrong way. That's how we like to do it.
Oh my gosh.
All right, here we
Did you
go.
really say that?
Oh, he did totally say that to me. John Edit here. Hello, and welcome to Techlandia, grumpy old teachers. What up?
What?
What? I'm John Samuelson,
You
artist
are
formerly
John
known
Samuelson.
as iPad Sammy in Portland, Oregon. I say this because I was down in Arizona and somebody said, "Hey, that's iPad Sammy," and then actually another person had heard of that before, so that was interesting. But nobody's heard of John Samuelson. That's just branding. Anyway, John Samuelson. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I'm going to kick it down to my brother from another mother. His name is Scott. Is he going to
Drake.
do? Have you heard Drake's new album, by the way?
I've
Scorpion.
yeah, I listened to a little bit of it.
I listened to it while I was driving back at 3 in the morning from ISTE. I was taking the last leg from, oh, I don't know, about the right after the Oregon Pass, the last 3 hours into Portland. I had downloaded it on Spotify, and I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Scorpion. I was bumping it today a little bit too.
Well,
I
there you
like it.
go.
I like it a lot.
Hey, listen, John. If Drake can capture the middle-aged white guy, then
Who can he
he's
capture?
got a. Who can't he capture?
I know. Well, you know what? I like to think of myself as a cool middle-aged white guy, though. So,
Yes, you do.
right? I like it in my mind, in my egocentric mind, I'm the coolest white guy out there.
I'm with you, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, but you didn't introduce yourself, so I will. It's Scott Bedley. He's down in the SoCal, or as we like to call it, the South Bay. If you're in San Francisco, we like to call it the South Bay.
Yeah, and it's like 170,000 degrees down here right now, John. It's brutal.
This is when I appreciate Portland in the summertime because it was only about like 80 here today.
There's air conditionings blowing up every other house. Boom, boom. It's like a fireworks show extravaganza, except for it's AC compressors or whatever.
That's terrible. I know, and you're
It's
having the
pretty bad.
terrible fire too, where we've closed down I-5, which is our main roadway for me to get to you if I was driving to see you. So that's
Uh,
closed for the fires.
yeah,
Not good.
we had a couple picking up down here. It just seems like it happens this time of year, especially when the heat
Okay.
comes in as hard as it did.
So let's segue into that one. The heat from ISTE, Scott Bedley. We were both there. We hung out a lot. We had a lot of hot pizza, had a lot of Lou Malnati's, enjoyed some time together. ISTE 18, if you could sum it up in one word, what would it be? Would it be hot?
No, actually, the weather was really nice there, John.
The weather wasn't that bad.
You know what? I, I would say reality.
Reality? Would you sum it up as
Reality.
virtual reality?
No, not virtual reality. Like reality coming crashing down on a lot of people.
There's been a lot of reality. It seems like I've been off the Twitters a lot more than I used to be because I've become disillusioned and disenfranchised. I've not been I've been pretty transparent about how off of Twitter I am. But boy, it seems like there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of heat that has come crashing down. A lot of reality has come crashing down, and it seems like there's a lot of like little fighting going on the Twitters, and I don't know if it's productive or if people think it's discussion or healthy discussion. I don't know. I think it's a lot of posturing, is what I think.
It feels like a lot of posture. So it feels like stuff that we've been talking about, John, for decades.
Right. If we're posturing right now, we've been on the air for decades. But I mean, seriously, we have been old school talking. I mean, I feel like we've coined the word edufamous on this show, you and I, Scott Bedley.
I'd give that
And
to you, John. That's definitely not me.
well, there's some things. I mean, we don't need credit or anything, but I feel like there's a lot of pushback right now coming from the edufamous. I noticed a lot of posturing even around when you're sitting at ISTE. It's kind of strange,
Mm.
and it's just like I don't know, Scott. I don't know. I don't know where we're going with ISTE. I know that there's like, I mean, if we think about things, there's like they're putting little, you know, trackers on your badge so you can.
They're still tracking me, John. I
I
carry
know.
that thing around still.
I know. I hope. I'm like I'm still looking for the session. I'm still waiting in line to get in to see
It's
something.
it's called my cell phone.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, and I mean there was just some interesting stuff. I thought
John,
that
before we go there, can I give my real one word?
yeah,
Because
no, I would like your real
this is
one
our
word.
grumpy one word probably.
Okay.
My real one word, honestly, for ISTE, besides deep dish, which I don't know if that's one word. I guess it
It
is.
will hyphenate it.
We'll hyphenate it. Is robots.
Robot. Yeah, that's totally true.
That is my
Robots.
one word for ISTE. Is it just felt like there was a lot of robots, and a lot more LMS stuff still going on than I thought would be going on at this point. I thought we moved past that, or
Yeah, the
maybe I was hoping we moved past that.
well, I mean, I was, as a person that is a big fan of the robotics, and I am. I mean, the session I did. Okay, so I'm going to start humble. I'll hashtag humble brag a little bit. So on Saturday when we did our
Can you
session,
bash somebody at the same time so you're more like the edgy famous, John?
yeah, let me. And I'm going to bash people, and then I'm going to posture it for more jobs speaking later on. Is what I'm going to
Like
try and do. I feel like that's
speak
where all the
against like
bashing.
large researchers who are trying to give input to education.
That's right. I think, oh, let's see. Who's a person that doesn't tweet from his own account that scheduled it right at 7 o'clock in the last few days that just put everybody into a
Mm.
tizzy? Maybe I should go after that person. Or
Uh,
maybe not. I don't know. Hmm. Old Bobby. Bobby's getting himself in trouble.
I would, I would, I would. It starts with R, doesn't it?
That's
Robotics.
robotic.
Is that what we're talking about?
Robotics. Right, Robert Marzano
Robotics.
Robotics. Yeah, I mean it's and RoboTweet. I mean, he didn't, But the robotics, the thing that worries me about a little bit about the robotics, as a
Uh-huh.
person that helped with a robotic session on Saturday, um, and helped with a robotic session on Sunday, um, there seems like there's more people trying to get in there and make a quick buck. And I don't know if that's those robotics kits are, some of them are very sustainable. I think that what you have to watch out for is, hey, I just got a grant for $5,000. Let me try and buy this cheap robotics kit instead of somebody that's kind of been around the game a little bit. And then I think they're going to be disappointed and wasting their money. So you know that I don't like the waste of the money, Scott Bedley, the waste of the public's funds on bad purchases. That's one of the things
Yeah,
that
you
gets me.
definitely don't, and I know that's something that you always, when you're giving advice to you, say, hey, really consider what you're getting, and what's going to really be sustainable, and that's like also the company behind it as well, John, right? Because there was a lot of like, I was like, who are? I mean, not these people could end up being fantastic, but it was like, who is that, and what robotic thing is that, and
Right.
boy, that looks really like
Cheap.
just cheap. And I think my students, and I would be happy if they did, would destroy that thing in about a week. And then
Yeah.
we'd take it apart, and then we'd go get our Spheros and be happy again.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, I feel like that one thing I can say to people, and I was on the vendor floor a little bit, was I want to give a shout out to Wonder Workshop,
Mm.
who gave us some free tchotchkes too. By the way, Scott Bedley, you can't go wrong with free tchotchkes. Both of us
No.
got some free tchotchkes. And I don't know. I feel like the people that work there are good. They have good curriculum. I feel like the kids like it. They have the free robotics competition. You look for stuff like that. And then your $129 investment in a Dash robot. I think about my wife who doesn't have a lot of technology, but she can control a Dash robot with her Kindle. And that's a pretty cheap point of entry from a company that has lessons and a bunch of people
Totally.
using it,
We
right?
we used that. Did some staff development this year for this last year, and we love those Dash. Dot, where I can't figure out Dot yet. I'm just going to be real blunt, John.
I remember Sam Patterson saying one time that he liked to he put Dot in like a helium balloon and like send it off to kind of track things, and that's kind of what he thought of Dot. But you know what?
I may try that this year.
I know, you know what? My daughter, my third grade daughter, really likes to do like the dress up with Dot, like it's like a doll or something.
Well,
So there is something to be said. Like there's the
we
little
may
Dot
do the
craze.
Dot launch.
Yeah.
do catapults with Dot.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you got to do, right, to get it in there.
Does
And
Dot measure velocity?
yeah, do that. Oh my gosh, you could have Q catch it, catch Dot, and like dash catapult Dot into the queue. And then the other thing that I really like right now, and I helped them with their Makeathon on Saturday, was Hummingbird. If you haven't heard of Hummingbird, is a good little company, and they're actually called Bird Brain is the company, but Hummingbird Kit. And you know I'm going to be big on the microbit, Scott Bedley, and the microbit can fit right into the Hummingbird kit for the new Hummingbird for 99 bucks. And
So what is that, John? I don't know what this is. Tell me
so
about
then,
this.
so when you have the microbit, which is the $15 little microcomputer, right? That it has
Yep.
like little LEDs and all those things, and you use Microsoft Mate code, and you
And
can
you're
do
gonna
some
keep
really
that
cool
thing
things with it.
keeps they keep adding on all kinds of things you can do with that. It's crazy.
I know the Mate code site is really good, and they have like a site that has a bunch of lessons where you can go to if you don't know where to start, and so they have tons of things you can start with on the Mate code site. But the microbit's a $15 computer. I mean, it's kind of like Raspberry Pi Lite, but if you buy this Hummingbird for $99, where you can put in LEDs and
Mm.
servo motors, you can get pretty creative pretty quick for about 100, whatever that would be, and like 99 plus 15. I mean, that's, I don't know, I can't do the math, but
I
I'm
think
thinking
that's a half the
$100.
Chromebook.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's around 150, but it could be just 115. But
Why would I
yeah.
get something creative like that when I could buy, some Chromebooks and
That's
test
right.
kids on
That's right.
them, John?
I don't know. And there's the and then Spheros. You know, we're always big fans of Mr. Technology
Da,
and the
da, da,
Sphero.
da.
But Sphero, I had to sign my NDA and go back and see what's coming. But there's something big coming from Sphero in September. And
When does that NDA like?
yeah, I mean, can I say that I can say there's something big coming that I saw, right? But I just can't tell what it is.
With a big with a B?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I know. I bet you it has something to do with a newer, improved Sphero.
Hmm.
That much I can tell you. And I think I'm not violating my NDA right there.
I don't think you gave away any trade
Yeah.
secrets.
No. There's an update coming. Watch
Oh
for it in
yeah.
September.
Hey,
What's that?
so there
Go
was
ahead.
some big news that broke right before ISTE,
Okay. Well, I'm ready for it. I don't
and
know. I
that
was
was
driving.
the long bashed upon by us. Not the product itself, but the love of the product.
Okay.
Are they ambassadors? I don't even know what you call them. Flipgrid was purchased.
Oh, yeah. The Flipgrid announcement. That was a big announcement, wasn't it?
That was a pretty big announcement.
I said,
And I loved when I got the refund in my email.
were you a full Flipgrid member?
I was a full Flipgrid member, John. I didn't pronounce my love publicly as much as many did, and changed the background of my Twitter to like Flipgrid love
Flipgrid fever.
or Flipgrid fever or whatever.
It's almost like
But
Pac-Man fever. I mean, I feel like Flipgrid fever was almost as big as Pac-Man fever was back in the 80s.
I'm definitely a heavy user. I used it for a lot of different things, from auditioning kids for a class musical that we did,
That'd be good.
to history, like all kinds of different. We use Flipgrid a ton,
Yeah.
but I'm glad it's free now. That's for sure.
Thank you, Microsoft, for that.
Thank you, Microsoft.
Were they bidding against Google for
There was
that?
rumors of that. There was rumors.
I don't know. Look at Microsoft taking Google out behind the woodshed and smacking them around a little bit. You know, you don't see that every day, and I think that's nice that the Flipgrid will be free, and Microsoft did that. I think that's a nice move for them.
Yeah. And always with anything that Microsoft purchases, there's always this like paranoia that somehow they're going to like damage it. As far as I know, Minecraft has been okay. It's survived the purchase by Microsoft.
It's still there.
It's still there.
One thing I did notice on Flipgrid is that not only did they refund people's money, but yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with the ambassadors now, because I was talking with here, I'm going to name drop real quick. I was talking with Tony Vincent right before ISTE, and he was telling me that he was going to the Flipgrid party, and then I said, what? Did they rent out Soldier Field to hold all of the Flipgrid ambassadors? But a bunch. But
I think they had more Flipgrid ambassadors than like Google certified and Microsoft MIAs combined.
I know, right?
I do. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's Flipgrid certified.
Yeah, there's something.
You have to go like this. This is all right for people that don't know how to use Flipgrid, like my wife in the door behind me over here. Here's how you use Flipgrid. Start a board, pose a question, press the button, and let the kids talk like this into the video. And then it just shows up like the Brady Bunch, and you're all good. There it is. That's Flipgrid in a nutshell. Give me my ambassadorship.
Done. You just got it, John.
Done. So,
not only that, you're going to be training people on Flipgrid because
no, I should train people.
You just explained how to use it.
That's right. It's a quick video response. There you go.
It's one of those. It's really intuitive, right? I mean, it doesn't take a lot to get that done.
Yeah, right. And then I like it because you can pose for your selfie afterwards and put your little stickers on there. Or you can tell the kids, no, you're not putting all that obnoxious stuff on your.
I do want to say, like, I think they really positioned themselves well for this whole buyout. Like, I mean, this was a great business model for somebody that wants to be sustainable in education and make money, and to get bought out by one of the bigs. And I remember when they gave that to us, a year account for free, right when Flipgrid came out. They gave it to all the MIEs, and we got to test it out early on, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And the fact that they were able to do that, I think, positioned them for what has now happened.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that the dream? You start up something and then
sell it.
Or and at least they're selling it to Microsoft, who's going to do something, and it looks like cultivate it and try and get more people to use it. Whereas if you sold it to like Pearson, they would just take the good idea and squash it and like hide it away like Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant in the movie, if you know what I'm talking about. If you're that old that you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. I saw it in the theater. That's how old I am. So I remember when Indy worked really hard, didn't he, Scott, to get that Ark of the Covenant, fought those Nazis.
Yeah.
They all melted around him. And then, sorry, I'm spoiler alerting Raiders of the Lost Ark for you. And then at the end, gave the Ark to the government, and they just put it away and
some giant warehouse with all the other artifacts of
I feel like there's something like that at Pearson where they're just like, that's
all the education artifacts.
A great idea. You know what? We need to buy that and just
that doesn't have to do with standardized testing or published books.
Right. We need to have more standardized tests. Take that good idea. That'll move us away from standardized testing.
Let's buy that.
Yeah, let's buy that and shove it away. Oh, you know what? And then while we're at it, let's sponsor South by Southwest EDU and make that into a farce. There's my little.
Hey, and by the way,
dig on.
If all of you are listening, the one of two of you,
there's
if
actually
you vote for my South by Southwest. I really want to get in this year. I've been trying for the last 0 years, and I really want to be.
I think that's when it jumped the shark for me, when they started when Pearson and Houghton Mifflin started being sponsors. I mean, I lived in Austin. We would go to South by Southwest the first 3 or 4 years. I think I went there, and man, did that thing just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're just like, wow. Did you know that one time, Scott, not to rip on your boy, but I think that Bill Gates keynoted it one time.
Oh, I thought you were
And
going to talk about Mike Trout. Sorry.
no, 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 not that boy, your ed tech boy. And I think that he came in and he was getting ready to give us. He's given one of the keynotes.
Uh-huh.
He was talking to Texas like they were a Common Core state, and then someone kind of went, "We're Texas. We're not a Common Core state. We're trying to secede from the Union." Right? And then I think that he was like, "Oh, whoa, whoa! One of the 7 states. It's not Common Core. Whoa!" So I think Bill Gates flip up there.
Yeah.
That's okay though. We'll give him that one.
Well, Texas does things their own way. That's
Speaking of Bill Gates, right? Speaking of Texas does things their own way. It's a whole different ballgame there. But speaking of that, so there was a study I read that came out about, and it wasn't done by Marzano. This is a study by Bill Gates and the Gates
who?
Foundation, and and they try to do some things. You know, Bill Gates is dedicated to a lot of money and resources to ed camps, to education, starting schools. So they did this like 5 year study and tried to do all these different things. And
I
what
know
they
people
found
don't
is,
like all his solutions, but I
but at
mean,
least he
I mean,
tries.
the dude's trying at
Yeah,
least. I mean, he's putting money behind stuff. Maybe it's not the right thing, and
right,
that could be debatable by everybody, right?
right.
But I mean, he's trying.
He's trying, and he's one of the few people that's putting money towards education,
Yeah.
right, as a problem, which he sees as a problem, which is, I think, admirable. But so the funny thing was, so they spent about $600 million on the study for the 5 years, and they found out that all the things really didn't work that well. And we probably could have told him that beforehand if he had just,
Yeah.
he probably could have just called up Tim and Scott Bedley on the Bedley Brothers show and just been like,
Mhm.
what are the problems? We could have probably assembled a good, like,
We could.
panel of 10 people, and it wouldn't be all white guys. So
No.
you and Tim would have been the 2 white guys, and we would have found other people. But then we probably could have assembled a really good staff, and he probably could have just talked to them open and honestly for about like a David Terrio dinner time chat, like
Right.
David loves to do. And he probably could have found out the same things, and then we could have just said, "Hey, now that you've just saved $599.9 million, because we'll let them spend $1 million on you guys for dinner. Now we can. I don't know, what would you spend if you had $600 million, Scott, for education? That's a good question. Like, no strings attached. What would you do with $600 million to make education better? A question that I'm sure Betsy DeVos has never even considered.
600 million?
Yeah, so I mean, what would you put money? Let's just say you have any money. Let's say you get a surplus of $2 million in your own school district in Irvine. What would you put the $2 million towards? Like, what do you think? I don't know if I have an answer for this either. I want to know, what would you do?
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if more money is the way to solve education
Mm-hmm.
issues.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
I know we've talked about this before. Like, I still think that teacher free agency would
Mm-hmm.
change things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if a district could use money and recruit teachers and give them signing bonuses and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I want John on my ed tech team because I know he's out working with teachers and making an impact for kids. Hey, John, I see what you're doing up there in Beaverton. I'm going to give you 300,000 to move down here to Irvine, and I'm going to take that other rest of that 2 million, and I'm going to start to recruit, and I'm going to put some pressure on that kind of like field of like, hey, we can give signing bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always about like parent choice and for where they can put their kids, and that when just ends up devastating certain schools, it doesn't necessarily help those hurting schools.
Mm-hmm.
But if they could start giving signing bonuses and recruiting people and saying, I'm going to give you all your 20 plus years in education, John. I'm not going to limit it to like, I'm going to give you 5 years. And so you're going to have to take a $30,000 pay cut to come and teach here.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully work your way back up. Like, just teacher free agency alone, like there is in like baseball or basketball, I just think would make a big difference in, and it would also drive teachers to say, hey, if I outperform and work really hard, all of a sudden now there's a chance that I could get recruited my fear in all this, John, would be that it would be a lot of more branding and a lot more people trying to be edufamous and
Right.
promote
I've
themselves and less sharing than there would be. So that would be my fear and all that.
Right,
But
I guess that would be the thing. I was just thinking that too as you're saying that, as we talk about, like, you think about, like, a LeBron James going to Los Angeles. He's obviously not going to Los Angeles.
woo!
He's obviously not going to the Lakers because he thinks they're gonna win a title. I mean, he thinks, like, right away. I think he thinks eventually they'll win a title, and I think that they might possibly with him there because he is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I'll give him that as I'm holding up the number 2. But,
Yeah, he's
I
definitely
think,
not number one.
um,
I maybe number in the top five.
but he's definitely number I think he's done some great things. You know what? I was with him in the beginning. I was off him. Miami made me ill, and I rooted against them with every fiber of my being. But when he came back to Cleveland, I feel like I kind of like the Cleveland people do now. He came back, he got lucky and won that title when Draymond Green did something inappropriate to him, but that's neither here nor there. They didn't win the title, so I mean, he had that great block on Andre Iguodala, and that's one of the greatest blocks in NBA history, I'm sure. But I think you'd create like Golden State Warrior like teams then, and then for these teachers, and then you would have like the Phoenix Suns who finished last, and
Yeah, see when
appropriately
we're
enough,
measured by
that's
testing,
yeah,
you're always going to have somebody finish with the lowest
yeah,
score.
yeah.
There's no way around. I mean, it's that's the system is set up for there to be winners and losers,
Hmm.
and it's not set up so that everybody wins.
Yeah,
Even
that's
though
true.
people would argue it, it's still when you're percentile ranking, you're ranking against other schools. There can't be a 100% tie with everybody.
That's right. You know what I worry about though is like I think about just I was thinking I don't know when you drive from Portland to Chicago and then back from Chicago to Portland, you have a lot of time to think on the open road. I was
Do
just
you,
thinking about
John?
I was just thinking about my career and things like that, and most of it I've worked at Title One schools, and I think that that is one of the problems. I feel like that might be a thing where you could give money to those schools so that they could recruit the Scott Bedleys of the world and the Tim Bedleys of the world, right? The David Terrios and
Mm.
all those. I'm sorry, I'm just naming white guys now, but I mean, when we could sit there and I think that I remember when I got my job in Alaska and my wife and I, they were interviewing us both. They interviewed us both at the same time, actually. And we were talking about things, and it was just at a job fair. And they said, "You willingly work in Las Vegas at Title One schools?" And we were like, "Well, yeah, that's kind of where we're interested in helping schools that are underserved, And maybe if you took a $2 million bonus and we're like, okay, you know what, we are going to go to some of the schools, maybe in like let's just say it's Irvine, it could be Beaverton for all I know, and we could say, okay, you know what, you were at this school and you're doing a great job. We want you to come over to this school and help
Yeah,
out. And you know what was funny is I was thinking about Title One schools a lot, and we had just finished talking about this right before ISTE about the ones that the schools that I serve mostly they've had stable principals for the 4 years. Now I'm going on my fifth year in Beaverton. They've had stable principals there, and then the first one finally left the coop. I was wondering when he was going to leave, but he left and took a different job because I was like, he's probably a person that will move up. He's a good guy. He's probably a guy that will move up and work in like the district level at some point. But so he took the first step and actually left his school. But man, he left that school. I remember when I went there, it was the first school that I visited when I first took the job in Beaverton. And I think he's done a really good job with that school. So I hope that they get someone in there that is just as that's what your worry is, right? That he builds up a school, does a good job, fights for him, gets them what gets what he can for them, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and it's that down cycle, and then you're like, wow. And then, you know, I know that the teachers, for the most part that I've seen, like to work for him. But I think that that's a maybe it's not a teacher thing, Scott. Maybe it's a principal thing. Maybe it's a, hey, you know what? If you can stay here at this Title I school for X amount of years and
Mm.
really start to do something, then that's when you get your bonus. You know, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I mean, I always think that there are some good, you know, as much as I bash on principals, there are some good principals out there. And
Yeah.
boy, I would like to get them in some tough schools and see if they could really. I think you could take a Tim Lauer up in, you know, who used to principal in Portland. I think you could take him. Now he works in Washington, but you could take him and put him in a lot of different situations. And if you gave him a few years, he would take that school. He knows good teaching.
Right.
He would know who to hang on to. And quite frankly, if you're a good principal, I feel like you've got to run out the people that aren't pulling their weight, you know,
Mm.
that aren't willing to be learner. Like I
Yeah.
mean, it's like ISTE, I learned a lot from just talking to people, and that's where I learned the most. And I was reading something from Gary Steger, where Gary Steger is the original grumpy old teacher. I feel like he's the original. We've kind of picked up the torch for him, but Gary Steger said ISTE is like he's wrote an article on Medium and said like it's like a something I can't quit. I want to, but I can't quit ISTE. And I'm like, right. It's like when I was younger and I had bad girlfriends and I couldn't quit them. But I now looking back at age 47, there's no way I should have stuck with them that long, you know? But I did.
Yeah, you need a different girlfriend. I mean,
Right.
you have to go out and find something different, and I think that's one of the reasons I like to go to conferences that are not
Smaller.
educational.
Right. That are not right, that are not educational. I was just thinking, like, so even if we talk about Q, for instance, that I didn't go to for the first time in about 4 or 5 years, like even Q seems like it's getting too big, or I won't even I'll even I don't know. I mean, there's conferences
I
that
don't
they
think
seem
it's
like they're
getting I
becoming
don't
the
think it's getting
same.
too big, John. I think what you're seeing is a different crowd trying to come there to that to get the fame, edge of fame, notoriety because Q's built up such a solid reputation. I think that's
They
the thing
have.
is it's built such a good reputation that now you have people that didn't take a look at it before saying, "Oh, hey, Q board member.
Hey.
Oh, I didn't realize that somehow I had unfollowed you. I think I blame Twitter for that. I can't believe that it somehow unfollowed you for me."
Right. Boy,
And now I really appreciate you and love what you do. And can you bring me out to Q and pay
yeah,
for
can
me
you
to speak there
pay for
for
me?
25
Right.
grand?
Right. I think
Make me
right.
a featured speaker.
I think that's totally a thing. I think that's
Yeah.
totally a thing. Right. And I think that yeah, I think that people are were like, oh, okay, Q. Let's and I mean I was there 4 years ago when my good friends Carl Lindgren Stryker and Victoria Olson, before they were married, took me over there and introduced me to people. And man, I've met some great people at Q. Um,
Yeah.
but I also feel like there's this kind of overwhelming, and there are many solid people that you could just talk to. Tell me you couldn't talk to Ruben Hoffman for a long time and realize that he's just not a genuine educator that just wants things to be better, you know? And
Awesome guy, and has, yeah, yeah.
and so I feel like there's those people, but then there's also people that are just wanting to go there and like, hey, and you know, and like
It seems like
kiss
that's a recent thing. Maybe like in the last 2, 3 years, maybe.
yeah.
You
It's
know
like
that there's
here,
been that's been kind of seeping in from the outside, and it feels like it is from the outside. It feels like it's from kind of the hashtag ed famous ed chat whatever kind of crowd that's like trying to say, hey, how do I get into to Q and get some of that money?
right? Or how do I become like a Q Rockstar facilitator? like how do I do that? Like I want to kiss up to these people because I want a little bit of the action or whatever. I want a little bit of the attention, and when it comes down to it, um it's you did you get into education for the attention? Because if you got into education, I read this article today where there was a teacher that she'd been teaching for 2 years, and she invited all 80 of her ex students to come to her wedding. Now I don't know how you feel about that, Scott, but I was like, that seems not appropriate to me. Just from where I'm coming from. I mean, and then she said like 30 of them showed up, and it was, I don't know what it was, like a Huffington Post article. But I read it and I'm like, see, I think that we place sometimes there's a lot of teachers that place too much value on them, like on themselves, and are like, "Ooh, oh yeah, this is my family. This is Sure, I agree. I like to build relationships with students. I think it's one thing that I'm pretty darn good at in my 25 years plus now or whatever, but I still don't think I would invite them to my wedding. I feel
Mm.
like I feel like there's something there where I don't know if it's just your
You don't think it was a gift grab?
no, right, could have been, yeah, could have been right. They could have been, I mean, I don't
I
know
got
what type of
80
school
people
this.
that might bring me gifts. I'm gonna
Hey, look at
invite
that. I got
them.
a $25 Starbucks card again. And in addition to my end of the year one I got in May and June. Um, but yeah, I don't know if it just comes from a place of like, I don't know, like I can't search for the word, but it's insecurity, I guess. Insecurity, that's the word. And it's like I always felt that I was a good teacher, but if you took me out of the school, I am pretty hopeful that somebody would come in and do a pretty darn good job
I
too. And
think
I
I
don't
think
think
you're
I'm the
just trying to
greatest.
say like there's maybe a little bit of inflated sense of self going on.
Yes, yes, I do. I feel like there's a lot of people that are just trying to kiss up to other people. Like when I started on Twitter, and people will make fun of me for my Twitter followers or whatever, right? Like Scott, you will totally make fun of me. But when I first got onto Twitter, and it was a long time ago, I actually was trying to like create that. Like the thing that made me interested in Twitter was I created a silly symbol about. I remember, and like I was like, whoa, like there's like 12,000 people have viewed that in like a week or whatever. And like I just made, and it was iPad Sammy Scott. I was making app lists or whatever the heck I was doing that I thought it was good at the time. But I was going to conferences, I was curating resources and things like that and sharing it out. And it made me happy that I could make something with links that people
Right,
would actually go to. And so I was actually, I feel like, a creator of
right,
things. And I don't feel like people are creators anymore. I see lots of tweets coming around with like, "Ooh, look at this robotics thing going on right there." And I want to be like, "Man, where's the lesson for where's the steps to that? Where's your blog post that
right.
just details the process or something?" It's not. It's just a quick picture. And then, I mean, I'm guilty of it too because I don't blog, but I'll be the first one to admit I don't create anymore, and it isn't as fun for me. But if I thought there was something that I could create that would help out a bunch of people, I would totally do it. I would totally do it and try and be helpful. So I don't know, but like that was where I was coming from 7 years ago on Twitter. I would create stuff. It made me happy that people would actually like retweet my stuff and share it because they thought it was valuable. Now, whether it
Right.
was or not, I don't know. I could look back at some of the things. I remember the first thing I did was there was this guy in Philadelphia, and his name was Brandon Lutz. I remember it. And I said,
Mm.
"Hey," he did 50 tools in 50 minutes, I think was his session. It might still be his thing. I don't even know. But I said, "Hey, can I make this into a little," like I had the list. The place was standing room only. I was like, "Can I make that into a Symbaloo for you?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure, just credit me." So I credited him on the thing, sent all the links out, and people loved it.
Right.
It was just, and then you go on, and then I would do 50 apps in 50 minutes for the iPad, and then people would criticize me for it. And then like people like Refrance Davis, I will call her out right now since I said hello to her at the last ISTE and she turned her back on me. and didn't say a word to me. So I know that she's very revered in the technology field or whatever. But I remember I was at a small conference in East Texas with her, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know about that 50 apps in 50 minutes stuff," and just blasted me. And I remember we were sitting in the hotel lobby afterwards because there's nothing to do in Longview, Texas. And I was showing them some stuff, and she was like, "See, now that's good. That's what you should be doing right there." And I said, "I'm doing my session for you right now. That was the session. These are the things that I show off, but you
Mm.
just ripped on me for it." So it's not because it's not pedagogy or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that I don't know if Rafranz was one of the people that ripped on our good friend Robert Marzano. But what do you think about all the Marzano stuff that's going on, Scott? I think that that seemed like a lot of people kind of strutting their feathers like a peacock trying to posture. And then, the first thing I thought was I saw Jake Duncan, who is a good friend of mine, and if he ever pushed back on me, I would appreciate him pushing back on me and saying that I'm an idiot if I was an idiot, right? I appreciate when you tell me I'm an idiot, Scott, too, because there's some people you trust. But when you go through and he just put a GIF in where somebody was just shaking their head and said no, and I was like,
Yeah.
there, that's the appropriate response. Maybe it's just funny GIF. Maybe we just start replying to each other in GIFs on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I do now, anyways.
I mean, I always try to include a funny GIF in all of my stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, life is not good without a GIF.
yeah, that's what I say.
Um,
But yeah, I thought there's a lot of people posturing and saying things. I mean, some people were giving their. I didn't look through all of it because I was driving back from Portland. But boy, the build and all, like, oh, we like this pushback on the guy. First of all, if you know anything about Twitter, Marzano didn't tweet that. I mean, it was a scheduled tweet by somebody that works for him. And I think he's even like come back later and said that now he realizes he needs to actually do his own tweets. Did you see that one, Scott?
I didn't see that one, but I
Okay.
do know, like, okay, so if you put something on social media, whether it's you or somebody else, you are ripe for whatever attacks come your way.
Hmm.
But I thought it was a little bit, maybe more than a little bit, but it felt like a large overreaction and gave a lot of credit to something that I don't think needed any credit. And I really thought about, like, why is so many people jumping on this? Is it that horrifying what the tweet was? And I don't know if he tweeted. It came from his account, so I'm going to say he tweeted it until somebody steps up and admits that it wasn't Robert, it wasn't Dr. Marzano, it was me. But I just it was just like, there's blog posts written about it, and then those people are celebrated for criticizing it. There's people that analyzed every single line of the tweet and in their own tweets, and I don't think there's any problem. I don't have a problem with them doing that. I felt like it was a lot about it was less about the tweet and more about the I'm gonna step up and seem as if I'm the hero for teachers,
Hmm.
even though I may not be in the classroom,
Hmm.
and I'm ripping on the guy that's not in the classroom,
Hmm. Right.
and um, and so I can be seen as this kind of like this protector of what's pure in education.
Hmm.
And I think there was some authentic emotions from people in the whole thing. I'm not knocking everybody that responded to this at all, by no means at all. But I do think it gave there's people that seek these opportunities, or they see these opportunities to
Hmm.
jump in, and they jump in on these things, and they
Hmm.
use them to, you know, um, to again create a narrative around themselves.
Yeah,
Uh,
they seize the moment and try to bring some focus to themselves.
yeah,
It's
right.
interesting, and it doesn't, it's like, how can I take this opportunity where this person made a mistake and use it to my benefit.
You know,
And
and
not
I think some of the people were like misanalyzing the tweet itself too. So like I would love just to hear Marzano talk about if it was from him, you know, what did you mean by it? Because it's, you know, a tweet and we all know that they don't say very much.
Mhm.
And then let him expand on it. But it was like all of a sudden it became this chance for everybody that had been waiting to like rip on Marzano. And I'm not this big Marzano fan. I'm not against Marzano. I just, you know, he is another voice in education, and he's a long-standing voice that's provided a lot of different, you know, materials and things like that for teachers. And when I say provided, you know, he's sold them. Um, but you know, it was an interesting. It's been an interesting couple of weeks on Twitter, from ISTE to the whole Marzano thing. Um,
Yeah,
it seemed like a lot of drama built up around the whole Marzano thing to get more attention.
so here's what Marzano said. Okay, so here I actually do
Let's
not follow.
analyze it word by
I
word,
don't
John.
actually follow him. No, and so here I'm gonna come out with his one that is.
Are you giving the original one
No, no,
that
I'm
everyone
gonna give
like
the
the
I'm gonna
fire
give
started the firestorm?
no. I guess I could. I was gonna give the one where he actually um
Okay,
like apologized. So he
gotcha.
said, this tweet demonstrates the problems with taking a quote out of context from a book. The intent of the statement was that teachers certainly can have an influence on engagement of all students, but just as certainly don't have complete control. Okay, so there's one. It says one of two.
Well, and then the
That
original tweet it said systematic control. It didn't say that a teacher like I don't have systematic control. I see that as a bigger picture. I don't have control over the content standards that are given to me from the state. I don't
Mhm,
have as many decisions as I would like to have because there's district level decisions that are made in there, and that system's built that the system we work in is built that way.
mhm.
So, you know, some people took that as like him, you know, shaming teachers, like, you know, this teacher shaming thing. This is kind of the new um, bandwagon to jump on is don't shame teachers. You're a teacher shamer,
Mhm.
you know, and how dare you be a teacher shamer? And you're not even in the classroom and you're teacher shaming. It's like, I don't know. I guess I just didn't read it that way.
So then he says, and then he continues, he goes, the insensitive tweet about teacher influence on student engagement has been removed. There are many external factors that can impact students inside the classroom, and I apologize that the tweet misleadingly did not acknowledge those factors. And as some have inferred, I haven't directly written my tweets for quite some time, but I will moving forward. Again, my apologies for a delayed reaction to your response to your collective criticism. So that's what Marzano said,
Well, I
like
mean,
5
I
days later.
credit him for like stepping up to it and then owning it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So, you know, I don't, I just, I didn't think, I guess when I read the tweet, I didn't take it as this attack. Like I'm a classroom teacher, John. I can say that. A lot of the people that were ripping him can't say that.
mhm,
And I've taught, I'm on my, I've done 25 years now,
mhm.
and I wasn't offended by it.
Yeah,
Like I got the gist of what he like the tweet was saying. It's just saying, you know, we don't have to pretend like every other factor is impacting a student's engagement. We can have an impact on that as teachers,
mhm,
and we can have an impact to engage all our students. I believe that. I
mhm.
believe I have an opportunity to engage every single one of my students. Can I do it every single day, all day long, every day of the school year?
That's
No
right,
way,
right,
never. I
right.
wish I could.
Yeah,
Like I strive for that, but it's impossible. It just felt like I don't know, an overreaction meant to create drama, and I don't know, a
right,
lot too sensitive. Like we need to just start having fun in education again.
right.
Holy
Or
smokes!
I would even be able, like, I read a lot of things where it was like, oh well, he doesn't need to apologize. You know, it sparked some healthy debate and whatever. And I'm just like, did it? Did it really spark some healthy debate?
Oh
Because all
no,
I heard
I
was
didn't see any debate. I just
I
saw a
didn't.
lot of
Yeah,
ripping and analyzing.
yeah. I was like, it's like overanalyzing. So now it's like we're getting to the point where what kind of what we started the show with, and we haven't even like diverted at all. So you can tell we're we're focused about it because we haven't even, gone
Mhm.
squirrel and dove in besides the Drake thing early on. But I think
A
that
little LeBron James,
right,
which
We
LeBron
lost.
James,
We lost.
that one.
oh, your mic, whatever you're doing with your mic, did you get it back? Now it's doing that thing again. I'll have to cut this out. Don't worry. Is it okay now? Talk now.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, there it is. Whatever you're doing,
That's
it
weird.
faded when it faded. It did it once too. I'll have to cut that out. So,
Well, it's a battery on my. Sorry,
okay.
everybody.
No, that's okay. Now I can't.
John, edit there.
Yeah, I'll edit it. Don't worry. So, but yeah, it just seems like I wish we did have more healthy debates, and I wish that I wish that everybody wouldn't start going back and trying to like hyper criticize each other now, because I saw some stuff where they're criticizing, Dave Burgess, and they're going through some stuff with that too. And I mean, when people are tweeting stuff, I mean, I guess you're right. I guess they put it out there, and I think people are maybe that's why Twitter's gotten bad. I mean, maybe people
It's
aren't.
scary. I mean, if you're trying to be edgy famous, let's warn anyone else out that's saying, I think I want to go after this like brass ring.
There's tons
When
of
you
people.
put yourself out there, it's a scary thing because you are opening yourself up to whoever and whatever wants to be a critic.
Right.
And John, the reason I think you and I can say that is because we've podcasted now, both of us, for 5+ years, and we know we've both been criticized for our shows in some manner by some person in some way because we didn't do this or we didn't do this right or we should have done more of this. When authentically behind the scenes, we're just trying to like do something cool.
Yeah.
We're not trying to like do anything to hurt anyone. We're trying to support and provide an opportunity that was free for teachers to get like current information and technology and pedagogy and whatever it is that we're bringing the people on that we're trying to bring on. And, even when you put yourself out there, it's scary.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm just not right. I'm just not. It doesn't matter to me anymore. It doesn't matter. It's. I think I might have started it when
this is getting real, John.
Right. No. I mean, I think I started it when I moved up to Portland, and I just wanted to like kind of leave the whole like iPad Sammy thing. Like I used to be a doofus. I mean, I still am a doofus, but I mean, I used to wear like little shirts.
You own your doofusness, though, right?
Right. And I would wear little shirts that would say like iPad Sammy on it, and like all iPads that I ordered, like that was something,
Right.
And I think it is a thing when you first get recognized. Like I remember when I would go to the TCA conference and somebody said, oh, "You're iPad Sammy," and then I would sit down and I would talk to. But see, that's the thing. Like I like to sit down and talk to people and try and see where they're at and help them. That's what I like to do. I will never be a keynote speaker. I don't even know. I mean, if I ever just settle into like presenting or whatever, I think I'm more of like a hands-on workshop kind of guy. Like give me a hands-on workshop where I can lead some teachers through some different things, and I want them to do stuff, and I don't want to talk a lot, but I want them to do stuff. That's kind of what I want to do now. I don't want to talk for 50 minutes in front of people at the ISTE conference, really. But I'm happy to help out. I'm happy to help out, with Wonder Workshop, with Bird Brain, with Miss Carter HLA. I'm happy to help them all, to be honest. Sam Labs, I helped. I'm happy to help people that like stuff that I believe in. But then again, I'm not trying to be a NASCAR driver and wear a bunch of different badges and get and improve my email signature and go with this person 1 minute and this person the next. And I feel like there's a lot of educators out there, the EduFamous out there, that'll be like, hey, you know what? That's a great opportunity. I'll do that because that'll lead to this. Or then I'll be friends with this person because then it'll lead to a job with Q or ed tech team or something. And I think that there's a lot of those people. And I don't think a lot of those people are actually like putting in the work or creating things. I think there's a lot less creating and a lot more like, here, I can tweet out a little platitude on a Adobe Spark post thing, and then hopefully that'll get retweeted. I mean, for crying out loud, my dad had 16 Twitter followers, half of which were family, and tweeted out something about Donald Trump had just made an observation, and that thing got retweeted almost 10,000 times. He had literally 16 followers. I mean, and it got like 5,000 likes. It might have gotten 10,000 likes, Scott, like 9,600, and then like 5,000 retweets. The guy gained 100 followers within like 3 days. My dad, he had six. I could name like Allison
I think
Anderson
your
as a
dad's
follower.
outdoing me on Twitter for sure.
But but do you know how many of these edufamous would kill for something like that? And he said, my dad, he
Oh.
texted me and he's like, I don't know what's going on with this. And so then I kind of looked at it and I just said, he's like, I thought it was just a fairly obvious observation that I made in a tweet. And I didn't think his tweets went anywhere because all he does is crap about Trump. But then it's gotten so good with my dad now that he's got like almost 150 followers that he tweeted out
Oh,
and he's like, my son has an educational podcast, you should check it out. Like he was trying to like now give me a high
promote.
five back and like promote my podcast since he knows
He's
I
on
don't do it.
CNN next week.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I mean, there's moments like, right, I feel like everybody now is kind of looking for that moment where I've got like 16 followers, but I can say something, but it doesn't really mean a lot. Or you can make an obvious observation about Jerry Jones colluding with
Yeah.
Donald Trump about the anthem, which is what my dad's tweet was basically.
So cue the real big fish right now. Sell out
Yeah, sell
with
out,
me
right? I mean,
tonight.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what goes on, but I am excited to go to the Adobe Max conference, which is not an educational conference, in October, and I will continue to. I don't know. I'll have to see if we feel like we're going to ISTE in Philadelphia. I do like the ISTE. I do like Philadelphia for obvious cheesesteak reasons. I am a large man, so I do
You're
like cheesesteaks for
medium
breakfast.
large, John.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly plump, but
You're not a vente. You're kind of like a grande with an extra shot.
yeah, that's right. Extra shot right in the gut. But I did like when we would eat cheesesteaks for breakfast. That was fun.
Yes.
God,
Well,
that
do
was
you
fun.
remember that guy's name?
I don't, but we'll
I don't.
remember it.
I remember where his spot is, though. I could
Do.
find my way back there.
I could go right into that Reading Market and find right where the cheesesteak
Yeah,
place is.
I know right where his spot is.
But
And we sat at that counter.
yeah, just go there before everybody gets there. Go there before everybody comes for lunch. Go for a little brunch cheesesteaks. But
I did like that much better as a venue.
yeah, you know, if we're talking about just ISTE,
Chicago venue just
Chicago
awful.
venues. I still will hold to my prediction. I bet you they do not have it in Chicago ever again. Even though it's a great city to go to, the venue is not conducive to. I felt very separated from everything.
Totally, the city was great, but the
Yeah.
venue, gosh, it was just I don't know. The Bloggers Cafe was in a hallway. Like it was just like, everything about it, like up and down and over there and around over there. I don't know. It's just I don't know. The lines were crazy just to get into sessions. I don't know. It was just a bad venue, I think.
It's a bad venue, and it's too bad that Chicago doesn't have anything. I mean, where we went afterwards for the 2 days afterwards in Rosemont, they have the Donald Stevens Convention Center. And I remember I've been there for baseball card shows, and that's not a bad place. And there's at least places you could walk to, and I don't know. I don't know.
I would have it in San Diego every stinking year, John.
So the reason they don't have it in San Diego just costs too much, right? That's what they say.
The weather's beautiful.
Oh, rooftop
The
bars,
location's perfect. You know, the venue is super nice.
I hung out with George Couros on the rooftop bar at the ISTE San Diego, and he wasn't even like George Couros yet. He was just kind of like
that was pre George Couros.
Yeah, he was pre George Couros. That's for sure. He was pre just a guy with good ideas. Now he's ultra celebrity, ultra edgy famous. But I remember he was funny. I mean, he was funny. We were on the rooftop bar. It was fun. Hung out with a couple of his friends. It was good times. But I hope they bring it to LA that next year after Philadelphia. They need to have it on the West Coast sometime. That's ridiculous.
I mean, they're saying Anaheim.
Okay, Anaheim. I wonder
2020.
I wonder how that one will work. All I know is where are we going for that one then? The chicken place. Where's the chicken place? That's in Anaheim, the famous chicken place. Terrio would know it.
The famous chicken place?
Yeah. Okay, here, I'll look it up while you talk about something else. Go ahead. All right, so
No, I
anyway,
mean, there's a lot of great places. If you're talking about
no,
food, I'll
here,
take you to a lot
I'll
of
find
great places.
I'll find
The
it.
famous chicken and waffles.
Yeah, the chicken and waffles. What's that one?
Oh gosh.
Here, I got it. Hold on. It'll take 2
I
seconds.
mean,
At least.
there's
Roscoe's chicken and waffles.
but Roscoe's isn't a SoCal thing.
Roscoe's is just good though.
Roscoe's is good, but there's other chicken and waffle. I mean,
Oh,
there's
you don't like
dude.
Roscoe's? I thought Roscoe's was like
We'll
the
take you
famous chicken
to
and waffles.
the La Palma burritos. Is like ridiculous. It's so good. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
see, I know. See, it'd be different. So we had, you know, that I literally had 4 different types of stuffed pizza while it was this is just while Isti was there, Saturday to that Wednesday, four
Okay.
different places with stuffed pizza.
So what's your best? What was the best? Because I knew people that did go to Illuminati's, and they thought it was not their favorite of the.
You know what? It wasn't. It wasn't my favorite. All right, here, let me look up. The last place that I ate with Selleck was pretty tasty. But where was the place that we had it? Were you with me? And it was a little bit thinner.
No.
What was that place? I don't know. Oh, you know what? It was the place with Selleck. Hold on. I'll find it. But anyway, so keep talking.
Geno's. So
to think. All right. So anyway,
yeah, I mean,
keep going.
Isti was great. It was great to see like Briggs and even though we're living in the same state and things like that. So and John, we haven't done this podcast forever, and I was really excited to have a lot of you guys, you included, Briggs and you know uh, Action Hero, Melissa Lynn, like so many of these different awesome people help me out when I did a little kind of like online conference for the new teachers of Irvine. It was fantastic, man. I tweeted this out. I said, can anyone do a 20-minute session online and just help these new teachers because they needed it and they needed it to get units, and it was like a whole big thing. And oh my gosh, the number of people that stepped up just showed me like the amount of good-hearted, quality people that just want to help other teachers that aren't in it for the fame, the pay. They just were like, I want to help new teachers. I want to do something cool for new teachers, and that's what was super cool and kind of revive my spirit and feeling for like the kind of quality people that are out there that want to have an impact, that don't need to have a book written or get a $25,000 honorarium or any or travel expenses or whatever it might be.
All right, exactly.
I just want to do cool stuff and help other teachers out, which I think is fantastic. I really like and appreciate that, and so many people were so great to say yes for that.
It was Paisanos.
Paisanos, huh?
I liked Paisanos. It was a little bit less than, although I mean, Malnati's is always good, and I did have Giordano's after Isti. I remembered because that was out by Rose.
Oh, Giordano's. I heard that was good too.
Giordano's is just kind of like a steady place where you can go. That thing was huge though. I was like, oh my god, we got a small. We couldn't even finish the small in like 3 days.
I just know when we went to Illuminati's like that first night with Briggs and you and me, and just having that first bite. I don't know if I was super hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was like what it was, but it was. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
It was good.
It was so good.
It was good. Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think if we end with one thing, since we have been, I mean, I think this episode we've actually been grumpy. You know that when we say this, people, and I get called the grumpy old teacher all the time, you know that we are kind of just doing a little ironical play on words. We're actually pretty darn concerned educators that are just trying to tell the truth a little bit, and we're not really pulling any punches. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to.
We're trying to say what a lot of people have said to us that won't say it on air.
They won't say it. They won't put their names. We're just.
But they want us to say it on air.
Right. They would like us to say it on air. So we're just being transparent about it. But right, I can't believe I'm not even in like group Proctors anymore. But the stuff that they put in there, I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. And then some of the stuff where I hear stuff and I'm like, wow, you're a lot meaner than I am. I'm not that mean. We're
Mm.
not really trying to be grumpy, but I think that what you're saying, Scott,
No,
kind
we're
of
not trying to
does.
be mean. We're just trying to be critical and analyze education for the flaws, and also say like, Sean, you and I know we don't have all the answers.
Right.
I mean, we know that. Like,
Right. I wish I had an answer for that loud screeching noise that comes across every once in a while. I don't know why it does that. That's
is that my
crazy.
mic still?
Oh man, it hurts my ears. It's
Wow,
okay.
maybe it's those cheap earphones.
People that are listening, you'll appreciate my editing skills on this one.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, everybody.
No, it's okay. I mean, what are you gonna do? But I think that what you're saying is right, though. That there are people out there that are willing to give some of their time. Like, I think that that's what we need more. If we're trying to provide a solution to all this mumbo jumbo that we just talked about, I mean, the solution is I don't know why we don't work together more. I don't know why we don't share ideas more. I don't know why we don't just come together at an ISTE, and why it has to be like I'm going to do, you know. Karaoke or boat rides or whatever it is. Like I don't know why we can't just come together and say, hey, we're going to meet at this bar and we're just going to talk and talk about some things and what our
Yeah,
problems are and talk about some solutions instead of, but we have like poetry slams and lip sync battles and all this stuff, and it's just like,
Facebook parties.
right, like I mean, I don't know why it's so early, but that coffee edu, sometimes I feel like coffee edu, we for the people that aren't going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm talking to you, Alice Keeler, the 5 a.m. people. Like I would love to go and hang out I do love coffee. I just don't love that early in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody. I'd be like drooling and slurring my speech. But like if you could do a version of coffee edu, just kind of like the bar camps, which led to the ed camps, and just be
Like
like,
an
hey,
afternoon nap.
just like an afternoon, right?
EDU.
An afternoon drink and a nap. I mean, but I feel like there needs to be more brainstorming out there. There needs to be more brainstorming of
Yeah,
solutions, and there needs to be not as much focus on here. I can tweet this out at 7 o'clock because it's optimal to get the most, you know, page views or whatever. I feel like we're spinning in circles. We need to quit focusing on our overall trying to impress people, because quite honestly, a lot of the people that I know that share how great their lives are on Facebook all the time are, quite frankly, like back 5, 6 years ago, are divorced now. They're not happy. They were just trying to prove that they were happy. Just be honest and be yourself. I don't think people are being themselves anymore. And there are some people out there, like you said, Scott, that will step up to the challenge. And many of those people that helped you out were just like, yeah, we'll help out. We'll do something.
yeah.
I had to do my 20-minute session in 7 minutes because of technical problems, right? But I still sped through that whole
And
little
you know
deck I
what?
made, right?
People loved it too, John.
That's good. That's good. I would like to do it over for them if they ever get the chance again. But yeah, I mean, I think that we need more. We need more rainbow unicorns out there instead of these people that are edgy famous and then people that are trying to seize the moment to get things going. We really need to. And summer is a good time to reflect on those things now that we've got some time. Like I've only been home now for one full day from ISTE and my vacation. I'm like, take a deep breath, and then
Now
I
I
don't want
don't,
to be drawn
John.
in.
I want to like quote someone, and I have not researched this quote, so I don't know if
Okay.
it's actually true,
Okay.
but it's credited to Bill Murray. You know who Bill Murray is?
Yeah, I might know who Bill Murray is.
I think
The
he's a
actor.
Chicago guy, actually.
I
Isn't
have
he?
a refrigerator magnet of Bill Murray, so yes, I do know who Bill
I'm
Murray
sure
is.
people have heard this, but he said supposedly, social media is training us to compare our lives instead of appreciate everything we are. No wonder why everyone is always depressed
Hmm.
or always trying to seek more attention
Hmm.
or always trying to one up somebody else or always trying to like knock someone else down so it lifts you up.
Hmm.
And like this Marzano thing, I think is an example of that kind of like leveling. It's like, oh, Marzano is too high up. I want to level him down. It'll push me up.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you know, we do that. We raise people up and then we chop them down
Hmm.
because they can't get too raised up.
Right.
And like you were saying, you know, Burgess felt that, and somebody like Ann Cosma felt that, right, John?
Did she feel
And we
that?
made her listen to the entire show so she could hear
I was
us
just thinking,
talk about her finally.
I know. I just wanted Ann Cosma to listen to the show, right?
And did
So
you listen this entire time? Tweet at us if you
yeah,
did.
yeah. And you know what? We have to have another tweet
Tweet a
on how,
selfie at
right.
us.
You have to tweet a selfie after you've listened to this with your earbuds in as confirmation. And then, but yeah, I saw Ann tweeting at me. I mean, Ann just I swear, are we sure she's not Melissa McCarthy? Are we sure Melissa McCarthy is not leading a double life? But she
I'm pretty sure she is.
how long were you at the airport with Ann Cosma?
Yeah, it's an hour or two. We had a lot of fun. It was awesome.
I actually wish I could have been there with you guys. That would have been a lot of fun. I wish I could have, but I wouldn't have made it through security check.
I mean, I tweeted out a picture of her next to me, and then I tweeted with a picture of Melissa McCarthy and Robert the Bruce, because that's what
right.
everybody says.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you look like Robert the Bruce, like Bill Selleck, who I love. Bill Selleck, great, awesome, amazing guy. He's like, it snapped for him at ISTE. He's like, oh my gosh, you are Robert the Bruce, and he flipped out about it. Like, well, not technically, but
I don't even know. I saw that picture, and the guy did look a little bit like you, but I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what it was from.
from Braveheart.
Braveheart. Okay.
Yeah, Braveheart.
Gosh, who does Bill Selleck look like? We should just do look-alike. We know that we give people nicknames like Tim Lauer is the Samuel L. Jackson of Ed Tech, and Sean Williams, Shawnee, is the George Clooney of Ed Tech. But who does Bill Selleck look like? I can't really think of anybody. Yeah, he just looks like himself. You know, he looks like does he look like the baby from Family Guy?
It's awful, John.
I don't know. I was just saying. Bill Selleck is almost, I think that if I could say one thing about Bill Selleck's looks, I think that he's becoming Greg Garner, because Greg Garner looks so young. Bill Selleck doesn't seem like he ages at all.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
He's still like
Selleck looks like a young man.
educator.
Right? Bill Selleck looks, I'm sure that he looks 10 years younger than he actually is.
I heard he sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber.
Okay, that might be it. That it would probably, well, I would believe it because he's friends with LeVar Burton. So we know this. He has access to celebrities.
Wow.
So I think so. Anyway, that's a good note to end it on. But yes, thank you, Ann Cosma, for tweeting at me today that she needed the requirement was 7.5 selfies at the Q, whatever that thing was, the Q
Hoot Nanny.
Q Hoot.
Hey, Terrio and Z-Barth and Chris Long were at the Hoot
I would
Nanny.
have liked to have been down there. That's a fun crew. Sarah Geeky Teach was there.
Yeah, Geeky Teach was there. There's quite a few people there.
There was. Were you there?
I was there in spirit. I was texting with David Terrio saying I was super grumpy that day because I don't know, it was so hot. I was just like, Terrio, you make sure that everybody keeps it real down there. I'm like getting all serious. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm sure he's like, Scott Bedley, just relax, dude.
Yeah, what happened to his beard? I'm trying to grow mine back now. Terrio and I both shaved our beard at the same time.
Yeah, get that thing back, John.
You think so?
Yes, of course. I just said it.
Okay, all right. I just didn't know if you were kidding or not. I'm trying to get it back. I don't have a good beard like you do.
I would say do whatever Marnie wants. That's what I would say.
That's right. Do it. I don't think she cares. She just doesn't look at me anyway. Big event tomorrow. Pokemon Squirtle Day, 11 to 2. I've got to now end the broadcast and go and evolve some of my Pokemon and clear space in my bag. And if anybody is listening to this still, Scott and Bedley and I would love to be your friends on Pokemon. We gift very often.
Yes.
Back and forth. I want to get the gifts.
We'd love to be your friends on Twitter too. We're happy with Twitter. We want a happy Twitter.
We want
happy teachers.
Yes.
Education is tough enough. Let's just have fun and love on each other.
I know I've been thinking about this summer. I've been thinking about maybe it's time to start creating just some stuff again, just because. But yeah, if you use Twitter properly, give us a friend, give us a DM. We'll follow you back. I'm not really team follow back. I don't follow back everybody, but then again, I'm not paying as much attention. If I happen to be paying attention and I'm like, oh, you like
Yeah.
the same stuff I do, I'll follow you back,
Right.
and then I'll go try and clear out all the other
You're not trying to
relatives.
have 12 people that you're following, though, John. You're just not trying to auto follow back everybody.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm very selective about that. By the way, we didn't even talk about the fake that Twitter account where we're on the search for here. Let's see. I'm going to tell you who we're on the search for. If you are listening to this podcast, and I might even tweet it at this person, whoever it is, but we know you're a fake person that does
Yeah,
this.
I'm trying to
But
think if it's like
it's an
a
anagram or
hint
something.
at a group of people. Like it's like each one of their first names.
Okay, I'm going to find you. Hold on.
Delia Fudd.
Delia Feud.
Feud.
Delia Fude.
Delia.
Delia
Delia
Feud.
Feud.
The high school educator, difference maker, truth teller, interested in all things tech, speaking up about what others are afraid to say. First of all, we've been Delia since I looked at your first tweet. Whomever, whatever you are, group of people,
Delia
female,
Fraud.
male, whatever you are.
Just kidding.
First of all, Scott Bedley and I have been old school doing this, speaking up about what others are afraid to say for 3 years. Go look in the archives of Techlandia. You'll see them there. All right. So don't think you're some great person, but at the same time, we really like what you're doing. So
So don't stop.
we would love to have you on the show, actually. So
Edgy Cruise, more like Edgy
Edgy
Snooze.
Cruise, more like an edgy snooze. And right, I thought I looked at myself when they said like these are the edgy famous that won't. Then they didn't say edgy famous though, but these are the edgy celebrities that won't follow you back thing. And I
Yeah,
was like,
congratulations. You did it. You made another top 10
yes,
tech list.
that is actually super
They're the
funny.
top educators that don't follow you back.
Delia, if that is your
Delia
real name, you
Feud.
know what? We've been ripping on top 10 lists for a long time here on Techlandia. We probably even before Grumpy Old Teachers, we were ripping on top lists. Probably
This
the
sounds like
Kurt Reese
very
days.
much like some kind of you know, Benjamin Franklin kind of fake name. I'm gonna figure this one out.
Yeah. Okay, well, on that note, I'm going to end it since you just crackled at me again.
Oh gosh.
It's okay. My eardrums will survive. Anyway, we had one
I'm really
viewer
sorry.
for about 10 minutes.
Wow. Thank
There we
you.
go. Now we have 0. All right, Scott Bedley, thank you for grumping with me, and we should try and do it one more time before the end of July.
Hey John, was there anyone that you met at ISTE really fast before we go that you're like, that person's cool?
Besides
I didn't know them before.
Oh, and I didn't know them before?
Mhm.
Yes, there was. Let me look in my now I'll look at my followers. Okay, so there was one person that I worked with at the little maker thing. And let me see. Okay, here it is. Here she is. And she's from Pittsburgh, and her name is Colleen Heinrichsen. Now, I did DM her, and she did follow me before, and I followed her back. She's DUQ Colleen. I think she went to Duquesne University.
Yeah,
DUQ. So anyway, so DUQ Colleen, and then I was like, hey, it was cool talking with you. And I DM'd her, but she hasn't DM'd me back. She probably thinks I'm creepy now. So that's too bad. That's when social media goes wrong too, when you're just trying to be friendly, but then you seem like you're being a creep.
cool.
I wasn't being a creep, Colleen. I thought you were cool. We sat and watched the Mitch Resnick keynote. I thought we shared a laugh. I was like, I want to stay in touch because she seemed to like the same stuff that I did. So anyway, that was a person I met that I thought was pretty cool. I'd never seen before.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. There's others too, I'm sure. Is there anybody that you had?
I think I met both Brandon and Greg before. They're both ed tech coordinators in Northern California, but Briggs more formally introduced me, I guess, and got to hang out with those guys and just good guys, funny, fun, kind of know what's going on and have a good head on their shoulders. So yeah, I definitely would say those two guys are good takeaways as far as new people that I hope to like continue to get to know and hang out with and stuff like that.
Yeah, It's just funny because it's like, right, it's like I wish that I could. Well, we had a good discussion with some people right at the end, didn't we? Right
We
before
did.
we were talking, and I had never met some of those people before. Who is the cool guy from South Africa?
Oh, Steve Sherman, like yeah,
What's
living
his
maths
living maths? He seems like
on
a
the
really
Twitters.
cool guy.
He's awesome. Just
Yeah,
great. Yeah, great person. Doing some really amazing stuff down in South Africa, but bringing in some really amazing people like astronauts and things like that to reach out to some of the poor communities, and he's doing that digitally, and then he's also opening that up to anybody else who'd like to jump in and have those experiences as well. But he definitely has a mission and a heart and a drive and a humor that's awesome. So yeah,
yeah,
I would check him out for sure.
yeah. He was interesting too.
Mhm.
All right, Scott Bedley. It is almost
All right,
midnight.
Johnny,
Time to
we
bid
did
you
it.
adieu.
It
We
was
did it.
probably worse than I imagined. My first time back in a long time.
I know. Sorry, we weren't very funny today, but you know what? We'll come back and I'll have not been like. I feel like I'm on like vacation hangover right now from driving
Mhm.
5,000 miles. So I'll I'll be a little bit more funny. But right now, I feel like we just needed to say something serious because we saw a lot going on. We were just troubled by it. But
Yep.
now, what I want over the next month of July is to not think about these things, and I really want more Ann Cosma selfies. That's what I want of her. I want to live vicariously through Ann Cosma because it looks like she's having a lot of fun.
She is having a lot of fun.
When it comes down to it, that's what I think people need to do. They need to start doing their job, having some fun, quit being so serious. Let Marzano off, free Robert Marzano. You know, it's
I think
July.
you just came up with a T-shirt idea,
Free
John.
Robert Marzano. And really, people, I mean, it's July. Let the people off the hook a little bit. Let Dave Burgess off the hook. I mean, we don't. Do we need to really go after Dave Burgess? I
No.
don't know. I don't think so. You know how I know? Ruben Hoffman vouches for Dave Burgess. That's how I know.
Yeah.
I've never even met Dave Burgess. I just know. I know that we've said before that we wish he wouldn't publish so many books, and that still kind of holds true for us. But at the same time, I know that he gives a lot of money for those people. They make a lot more money off those books than they would going to other publishers, right?
Yeah. For sure.
So there you go. So we can't knock people for doing what they got to do. Lisa Highfill, I just saw her over the summer. Lisa Highfill gave me a nice present for helping her out on a couple things. You know
Good
why I
person.
helped Lisa Highfill out? Because number one, she's a rainbow unicorn. But number two, I know that she's got to put her kids through college. So if there's extra jobs out there for her, I recommend her.
Oh, I
Right?
thought you were going to say because she's a Flipgrid certified teacher.
Oh,
So
and right, and of course, like anybody I would recommend, she is a Flipgrid certified educator. So, but that's like every educator I know is a Flipgrid certified educator. So I don't know, but anyway,
John, I have no certifications.
you do. You're
Actually, I do. I do
you
have
do.
one.
I'm going to beg to differ with you because I do think that there was a certain company that paid for your way to ISTE, and not many people can pull that off. Correct?
I am a Sky. I'm in a full transparency. I'm one of the founding members of Skype Master Teachers Group,
There you
and
go.
that's all I'm going to say about that. I believe
People
in Skype.
believe in the Skype. We believe in.
John, there's
That's why
so
you
many
believe in
free
Flipgrid.
connections and lessons on Skype in the classroom.com. There's so many free things there. That's why I love it because it's free and there's a ton of cool things.
You know what else is free? Flipgrid now.
Flipgrid is free now, and I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that. Saved me $60.
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, we'll see what shakes out from this episode, and we'll see if anybody even listens to it. But anyway, happy to
Hopefully, my
holler at
mic
you.
didn't jack it up too bad.
Yeah, I'll have to edit. People, if you do, for the 12 people that do listen to this, you'll be happy I edited out Scott's thing. My eardrums are baking right now.
Oh gosh,
That's okay.
these are brand new headphones I bought too because I lost my last Bose. Like
These are cheapo $8 head earbuds. Don't worry about it because
I saved up gift cards for like 2 years to Target to buy these things,
oh
John.
really?
Yeah,
I'm sure they
can't
work fine.
afford
You
them.
just I don't know what's going on. It could be the Google Hangout. You never know. People, we will catch you on. You know what, Scott? We're gonna have to edit out like the last like 5 minutes of the show. We will catch you on the flip side.